This week on the Honey Darling Show, DC made a good movie.
I mean, finally.
Yeah. Welcome to the Honey Darling Show. We're your hosts. I'm Trey Johnson.
I'm Jess Kenyon.
And we're here to talk to you about Wonder Woman.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
No, seriously, woohoo.
Woohoo, yeah. Let's do a further reading thing real quick. I want to talk about a little comic book series called, I forget what the different ones were called different things. I think it starts with Blood, maybe. But the Brian Azarello, Cliff Chiang Wonder Woman series is what you should read. If you haven't read it, it was the very first Wonder Woman series after the first New 52, which happened, I don't remember how long ago. But the first time they did that reboot and called it New 52, you can actually buy it
Couple years. 4 years.
Yeah, you can buy it on the DC app. It's on sale for like $6 a trade. You can buy it digitally.
Wow.
Which is pretty awesome. But yeah, Brian Azarello, Cliff Chiang. Cliff Chiang is the one who's doing the art for Paper Girls now.
Yep.
That you've been reading.
Gorgeous.
And it's incredible. It's like probably the only Wonder Woman thing I've read that where she wasn't like part of a team, I guess. But it was incredible. Like they do some New God stuff. Orion's in there. He has this little bike that he flies around on. Has this really cool like onomatopoeia. It says like boom like over the whole panel when he shows up.
Yep.
Stuff like that. Very cool. Like Hermes, they do a lot of Ares stuff. God of War, like all sorts of fun stuff. And this was we'll get into it when we get into the movie. But the development, the origin story of Wonder Woman from the movie was taken from this comic. This was the first time that they changed it to where like Zeus was her father and that she wasn't just made out of clay. That she actually had parents was in this New 52 comic. So you should definitely check it out. It's really cool. And what do you have for your further reading?
For my further reading, I think you should find a story that's by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. It's called The Yellow Wallpaper. It's a short story. It was written in 1892. It is one of the first examples of feminist literature.
What is it called? The Little Yellow...
It's called the Yellow Wallpaper.
The Yellow Wallpaper. Yeah,
it's basically about a woman who gets kind of like shoved in a room and basically forgotten. You know, back in the day, any kind of depression or even just a mild sadness was chalked up to like, oh, women are women and they can't handle their feelings. And
I thought you were going to say like back in the day it was okay to stick people in places with yellow wallpaper or whatever, jam them, which I'm sure that...
women were really thought of as just like...
Witches?
Well, yeah, that, but I mean like just so delicate that any like mental or physical strain could just like completely send them over the edge. And this is kind of an example of people treating someone like that was happening and so that thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a crazy story. That's really a larger metaphor for how women were being thought of at the time. You can read that, and then you can see Wonder Woman and see
how things have changed,
how far we have come as women.
Which unfortunately isn't really that far, I guess. I mean, we don't lock women in rooms anymore. Hopefully, people don't. But I mean, like
less maybe.
Just like how hard it was to get Wonder Woman into theaters. You know, like this is the first movie Wonder Woman's ever had, aside from like a TV movie of the '70s, Linda Carter show. You know,
and even I gotta tell you what, I didn't give two fucks about Wonder Woman.
Well, you should because she's a very interesting character.
Yeah, but I never read any Wonder Woman because I don't read DC Comics.
Well, neither do I. But I read that one because I heard it was awesome, and it was awesome.
Well,
it was incredibly.
Azarello,
It was the best. It was probably the best DC comic that came out of New 52, like 100%, I think.
Sure.
It was it was written really, really well. And the cool thing is that they did her differently, like, cause she, in the New 52, like now she's dating Superman and all that stuff, but none of that shit was in the comic. Like they didn't do that in her series.
Right.
Like he was never in there, like they were never like together or whatever. They made it like all about her. Like there were no other like, and he wasn't there.
She was just allowed to be a woman who didn't need a man.
Well, it was kind of like, they were kind of like, I don't like that story, so we're not going to put it in this story,
Yeah.
It's not going to, you can
It won't
say
have
that
any
exists
effect.
over here on this other, in
Yeah.
like Justice League, but it doesn't exist here. Like, this is how it is for her, here.
Right.
And it was better because of that. And then it got rebooted, and now it's whatever it is now. But I haven't heard I've heard it hasn't been as good. I haven't really read it ever since, just because the Brian Azarello stuff just
Was so good.
was too good. It was so good. But Wonder Woman's an interesting character because of her creator was a very intelligent scientist, big into polygamy and all that. And he was also the guy he invented a real lasso of truth. He invented the polygraph test.
Sure.
The guy who created Wonder Woman. So he was that intense on the lasso of truth that he made a real one. But also he was involved in, he had a mistress, his wife was dating another girl, and that was Wonder Woman. That was what Wonder Woman was modeled after, their mistress. She looked the same, had the black hair and all that. And he was of the belief that he was submissive towards women, and he was of the belief that they're smarter than you, and you should let them do they should tell you what to do, because otherwise you'll fuck it up. Was his idea of it, and that they are the ultimate being, and that type of thing. And that's where all this came from, where Wonder Woman came from. I just think it's an interesting story.
It is.
And a lot of stuff with the lasso and all that was bondage and that type of thing. And
Sure.
yeah,
But she's come a long way.
She's come a long way. I'm just saying that's where she came from, and I think that already is incredibly interesting.
Definitely.
And she is say whatever you want, whether you care about it or not, she is the part of the Trinity of DC. DC is Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Those are the three main people. They are the holy trinity of DC is those three. Even though Batman and Superman got a lot more love than she did, but that's still part of the main focus of that comic book company.
Sure.
So those are the three big ones, which we did see together. We saw, as we talked about, in Batman v Superman, and her stuff was probably the only thing we really enjoyed, except for the small fight between Batman and Superman towards the end, But she was definitely the best
only
part
of that movie
yeah,
that I liked. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then DC's been fucking up just left and right, and then all of a sudden they pull this crazy great movie out of nowhere. Well, I think they did they hired Patty Jenkins to do it.
They fucking hired Patty Jenkins to do it. I think that's number one.
Well, Patty Jenkins, who had directed Oscar winner
Monster.
Well, yeah, the Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was her. That was her first. That was her breakout. That was the first thing I saw her in. Really was Monster, or was the one
What was the first thing you saw Charlize Theron in?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I saw her and stuff before that.
Did you see her in Eon Flux?
Yeah.
I didn't see that movie, but I remember that she was in that.
Yeah, she had been in some other stuff, but nothing
that was her breakout role for me.
It was nothing so serious, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I like that movie a lot.
This was some chops.
I saw it.
This showed some chops.
Well, yeah, I like that movie, the Monster movie. And but it was not this high budget with all these crazy effects and all that stuff. But hiring a female director, that was a great idea.
Super great idea.
They obviously should do that. You shouldn't, if you want to, because I know the same thing with Black Panther is being directed by a black director, same sort of thing,
find your authenticity.
Yeah, find your authenticity. But I was kind of, I don't know, from the trailers that I saw, I wasn't really, it looked kind of corny still, and I was I'm just really hoping that it doesn't suck, and somehow they pulled it together and got a dinger. Hit it out of the park.
This is I am still having a hard time talking to people about it, because it really was easily the most empowering thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm not alone. I hadn't looked at the internet to tell me, I didn't want to know anything about this movie, which is normally how we do things. We know we're going to want to see a movie.
Yeah.
We don't do a lot of research about it because we want to be surprised. We want to have our own thoughts.
Yeah, we see a couple trailers, whatever, but the trailers didn't really tell a whole lot about this.
And so I didn't know how other women and people were reacting, but my reaction is a lot like what a lot of other women are experiencing. And the minute all those Amazonian women came riding onto the beach to fight
the Germans,
I started just weeping.
Yeah.
I felt, I've never seen something so beautiful and graceful and strong and serious. It was not, tongue-in-cheek fighting. It was not pansy-ass bullshit. It was these gorgeous, lithe, muscular women beating the shit out of these dudes.
Well, yeah, Robin Wright, shoots 3 arrows at once.
Yeah.
Takes out 3 Germans.
Didn't know that I had never felt that way.
Yeah.
Because I watch a lot of action movies. I watch a lot of superhero movies.
Yeah.
I see people kicking people's asses all the time.
Yeah.
But it's dudes. And I didn't realize how strong and amazing it can make you feel to see yourself represented that way.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think I'll ever get over it, honestly.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it again so I can feel that way again.
Yeah, I can't really speak to this, because I'm not.
Because you're a white male.
Because I'm not a female, but I mean, that's why we have you here.
Yeah, thank God.
Talk about it.
That's fine.
No,
it's finally worth my keep.
Yeah. No, I mean, I just thought it was a great movie, but I understand that it means so much more to,
And every single thing about her was honest and feminine without being bullshit.
Yeah.
She had all these men telling her no all the time.
Yeah.
That's no man's land. You can't go there. You can't do this. You can't fight these guys.
Yeah.
And
she doesn't listen to them.
She doesn't even fucking argue with them.
Yeah.
Because
he's like, well, that's one of her lines where she's like, well, I'm going anyway. The whole no man's land thing, which I don't know if you want to set anything up here, but, basis, all some spoiler stuff, but she ends up, Steve Trevor falls into the land. She ends up following Steve Trevor into World War I. She wants to find Ares, the god of war that we talked about earlier from the comics. And she wants to find where the heart of the war is. She's like, take me to the front. Take me to where all the fighting is. So he's like, okay, I'll take you there. A little cute part with the lasso of truth where he's like, wraps around. He's like, oh, I'll take you there. And he's like, and I think it's a dumb idea and I think we're going to die when we get there, but I'll take you there. And they go through this no man's land thing, which is a real thing.
Yeah.
Where they had the different pits set up, against each other in World War I. And it basically, if you went in between these trenches, you get killed. And she's talking to, the women that are there that are saying,
they've been cut off from their town, which has been occupied.
And their people are enslaved and all this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, and he's like, well, we have to keep moving on. You can't, there's nothing you can do here. And she's like, well, no, I'm going to go against it.
And it's her compassion.
And she just runs right into a hail of gunfire, but.
That leads her. She has all these feminine qualities, or qualities that we normally associate with women that are also normally thought of or shown as weaknesses.
Yeah.
So she feels love for these people. She feels pity, compassion for this woman whose child is hungry. And she says, I'm going to fucking do something about it.
Yeah. Well, she's like, well, you can't stop me. I'll do it. And then she and you see her, is that when she whips the cloak off and you see
she takes her hair down and she puts Antiope's headband on and.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I'm fucking going.
Yeah, well, you see the outfit.
Yeah.
But she just goes out there with her shield, and I remember her just standing against the gunfire.
Just a barrage.
Just getting, everything
gunfire.
Getting shot at her, yeah.
Yeah. And it does look for a minute that, she feels defeated, and then she sees her friends come with her.
Yeah.
And that gives her strength. Again, another, feminine quality.
Well, she has
that instead of being a weakness, is a strength.
Yeah.
And they do that throughout this whole movie. When they get to London initially, Steve has the notebook of that German scientist woman who's
Dr.
making
Poison.
the evil gas.
Yeah.
And they go to a meeting of the douchebags of Fucktown, parliamentary cock-sucking.
I thought it was sort of a United Nations of Britain or whatever. They're just yelling at each other, trying to figure out what to do about the war or whatever. But there's different people from different countries. You can see them wearing different uniforms or whatever is what I gathered from it. And one guy, Harry Potter dude, is peace. And,
so they get her an outfit to wear, and she's not. She's first of all she's not trucking with any kind of panty sucking stomach bullshit.
Yeah.
So why would you want to suck your stomach in?
Yeah.
Yeah, why would you want to do that?
Yeah, they do a little
so she's got a little body positivity in there for you.
Yeah.
You don't have to be fucking anything you aren't.
Even though the one girl said it like under her breath, she's like, well, says the one who has no ability to suck
Which
in.
that pissed me off. We didn't need that, actually. Yeah. That was like a step backwards. But okay.
Yeah.
We're still moving forward. But then she like sees a baby and she wants to like hug the baby because she has no babies in her society. And then she eats ice cream and it's really exciting.
Yeah, she never had ice cream before. Even though she's from like Paradise Island, but there's no ice cream there. Just fighting.
And they don't have KitchenAids or any kind of thing like that.
I'm sure they eat something, or maybe they don't have to eat. They're Amazons, right?
Well, she's a god.
They don't need to eat to live. But I wanted to talk about it before I forget. Like the ragtag group that they get.
Yeah,
very diverse. Like you have Apache Chief.
Yep.
And you have a Native American. You have like an Indian.
Yep.
And Scottish Spud.
Yep.
Spud from.
Trainspotting,
yeah. Spud from Trainspotting is in it. And they do all sorts of like little talks on like that where the Native American guy talks about like how he lost his people. She's like, well, why do you fight? And he's like, well, my people were destroyed and I fight for this. And the Indian guy was like, I'm an actor, but I'm the wrong color. He says that, but I can't, I want to be an actor, but I'm the wrong color. So
sure,
this is what I do. But he's like a spy, he tricks people, like, so he still uses his acting, like, to fight for them and all that. It had it like kind of like reminded me a lot of like Captain America: The First Avenger, like the movie, because those guys are basically the Howling Commandos, like Dum Dum Dugan and all those guys that you see in the Captain America movie. It has similarities. I'm not saying that they stole anything or anything like that, but it did feel a lot to me like similar, because like Captain America, it's in the past, World War II, he has his Howling Commandos, meets weird people, like goes and fights against Germans, like they have some weird technological stuff behind the scenes, same sort of, has the guy who's hitting the gas, like same thing with the guy who turns into Red Skull.
Yeah.
Like you got, it reminded me a lot of that movie, but it's, it's different, obviously, because of the female aspect of it. But in tone and like kind of the way it came together, it did remind me a lot of Captain America, which some people don't like that movie, but I thought it was great.
I fell asleep like 3 or 4 times watching it.
Oh, well, if you watched it again, you would notice some similarities, just in pacing.
Oh, I'm sure.
Similar thing.
And like story beats.
Yeah, and they do the same thing where like it starts in the past and then it ends in the future.
Yeah.
Even though that one had a little bit of interaction of him with Sam Jackson, with Nick Fury. Even though I know you said you didn't want to see it, but and it didn't need it at all. But I would have I thought it would be cool if like when she walked out of like when she goes out of her her building that she's in, she has this reminiscent of this picture of Steve Trevor and like the old team that she was in. She's like, oh, I'm gonna have this like flashback about how I won World War I, and then you see like the whole movie and it shows like that story, and then it comes back to her looking at the picture. And then she taps the Batman, like, oh, thanks for helping you remember him. Which I guess that's all you already see, like, that Batman. But I would have kind of liked to see her come out and, like, Batman's, like, on a building or something, and they, like, nod to each other and, like, jump out into the into the city together. I'm not saying that he needs to be there to help the movie at all. I'm not saying that. I just would have liked to see a little bit of Justice League in there. And I'm not talking against the movie in any way. I just thought it'd be really cool if they, like, if they just pounded fists or something and jumped into just to like push towards what the next movie is. Like nothing, not like she needs bats at all in there, but it would have been cool to see. I wouldn't have been against it if they did it.
I 100% disagree with you. I'm so glad that we didn't have any other superhero presence show up in her film.
Yeah. Well, you had the Bruce Wayne truck, which delivers her the picture and all that. So. Well,
sure, but I definitely don't need to see Batman. I don't want the last image I see to be a man.
It wouldn't be the last. I mean, it would just,
You know what I mean? But I don't want it. I don't want it to become about. Now we're a team.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Yeah,
I want it to
I understand.
be about her. So ending on her, like, swinging into battle or whatever in London, that's what I fucking want.
Well, wherever she was. Wherever
her
building
is.
She was in
Paris.
Okay.
Because she was at the Louvre Art Museum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she, like, jumps off and goes into the sunset, whatever. At the end of the movie. Yep. Well, I mean, the sun's already down, but she jumps into the
whatever,
city.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
The movie has a little romance in it.
Did you know...
that didn't bother me.
Yeah, but it's... there's a little romance, but it's not like... He's obviously not the hero at all, like Steve Trevor isn't.
You know what I like about it? They obviously fuck.
Yeah.
They're not married. It's like 19 whatever.
Yeah.
This is like way taboo. Mm-hmm. Not for him, of course. He can have as much premarital sex as he wants to because he's a man.
Yeah.
But at the time, I mean... you know, she can't even choose what kind of clothes she wants to wear.
Yeah.
She's supposed to be this, like, chaste woman. And she, you know, she's read Cleopatra's 12 treatises on sexual pleasure.
Yeah, which I thought was there's a fun little lesbian thing in there, too.
Yeah.
Where she says, she found that men are there for procreation but not pleasure.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
You don't need them for pleasure.
Well, they've learned that you don't need him for pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Did you know, I wanted to tell you, did you know that, like, she has a Gal Gadot, that's how you pronounce her name. She has an Israeli accent, and she can't speak any other accent, so all the people on the mascara, they imitated her, is basically what they did.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like, the other actors, like Robin Wright and whoever else was there, they basically did her accent to make it sound like that's the mascara accent.
That's so badass.
Because she can't really do another accent. Yeah. So they just kind of talked like her, like for that area. So it didn't sound out of place. It's like what Patty Jenkins stole. At least that's what I heard from a podcast.
Well, I like it. I mean, I like
it makes sense.
I like that she definitely has an accent. And I like that the Themyscira people would sound...
The Amazonians?
Yeah. That they would sound different.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah. It's a different...
they're not Americans.
Yeah. And I kind of like how they do where they just find a spot where they can kind of like... They find the spot where the mascara starts and wherever they were at ends. Yeah. Like where the Germans kind of poke their heads through. Yeah. That's the part where they fight, you know, like Steve Trevor falls out of the sky. She rescues him, which is in the original story, you know, like he finds his way into the Paradise Island with the mascara. And like he's the first man they've seen or whatever. But yeah, they do it to where like he's being chased by the Germans and the Germans come after him. And then you see that beautiful scene where they're all like flipping off horses and shooting like multiple arrows at each other, at them and all that. The Amazonians are. Yep. Yeah.
The most empowering scene of all time.
Yeah. It's very cool. More than like Wonder Woman versus the World later.
Well, I cried several times during this movie, and not in a sad way. I cried in a way that as I said, like I didn't know I hadn't felt this way before. Yeah. But I cried because I was so full of, I don't even know what to call these feelings because I haven't had them. Yeah, kind of, but like hope and power and beauty and yeah. So there's a line that's repeated that she repeats at the end, and I think that it's not about equality. It's about what you believe. Yeah. And so if we make that metaphor about women, it's not about women being equal, deserving equality. Yeah. It's not that we deserve to be treated equally. It's that you believe that women are actually equal to you. Yeah. And I think I hadn't realized the distinction there. I had never seen the subtlety, but the great big leap that is the difference between, okay, well, we're going to treat women equally, to, yes, women are actually fucking equal.
Yeah, there's a major difference.
And I don't think I had ever felt equal, maybe. Yeah. Ever. In a film, I don't think I'd ever felt that way. So seeing all those women together fighting, like seeing her on her own at the end after she said that, fighting Ares and finding the power within herself to do that. I mean, I cried, you know, from the minute she met evil Lupin in that tower to the end of the film, tears just like running down my face watching.
Yeah. I thought you were crying for Steve Trevor.
And maybe I was crying a little bit for Steve Trevor, but it was more this overwhelming feeling of equality that I didn't know existed. Yeah. So I don't want to say that one battle was more important than the other because they both got me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I coming into it, I had no idea that Ares was in it. I mean, I should have expected it, but I thought maybe Ares was too big of a Wonder Woman villain to put in the first movie. You know, I mean, I didn't think it was going to be like Cheetah or anything like that, but I mean, who knows?
Well, I also kind of thought
But I really like that it's
weren't
Ares,
gonna
because Ares
get
is cool.
an actual villain.
Yeah.
Like maybe the war is the villain.
Sure.
I didn't know that we were going to fight a bad guy at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I kind of should have thought that, but at the same time, I expected her to be wrong.
Yeah. About Ares?
Yeah. I just expected that she...
Well, yeah,
that she wasn't going to be... Because everyone's doubting her. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just the way I've been fucking programmed to see shit, is I think she's going to be wrong. No matter how amazingly empowered and hopeful and wonderful this movie is making me feel.
Yeah.
I've still been trained to think that...
Well, she ends up chasing after Ludendorff, the bad guy, the guy who keeps doing he keeps hitting this gas that Dr. Poison gives him.
Yeah.
That makes him more like a big Hulk, whatever, makes him stronger.
Cocaine down.
And she's convinced that he's Ares.
Right.
So we haven't even mentioned the God Killer.
Yeah.
There's they do this really cool way of blending the original Wonder Woman story with the new 52 Wonder Woman story, which I'm sure has been changed through Rebirth. I haven't read the Rebirth stuff, but the original Wonder Woman story was that Hippolyta, she wanted a kid, so she made a kid out of clay.
Right.
The kid was brought to life by Zeus. That became Wonder Woman. It kind of left Wonder Woman without any I don't know, any oomph.
She doesn't have any why.
Yeah, like Superman, his planet's destroyed. He ends up on Earth. That's why he decides to fight evil. Whatever. Batman's parents are killed. Wonder Woman's made out of clay. And she's bring to Earth.
She doesn't have a why.
Yeah, so what they did in the new 52 Brian Azarello stuff that I was talking about is they changed it to where she's the illegitimate son of Zeus, and that Zeus had a fling with her. Daughter of Zeus. Sorry, illegitimate daughter of Zeus, and that's from her mother, and that's what really happened. But in this movie, they do it where that's kind of the story that her mother always told her about her being made from clay, but she's actually from Zeus. And you find that out later from Ares. But there's this God Killer sword that they have that they've been keeping in case Ares wasn't dead. Because they do all this cool backstory thing where they show the creation of the gods and how
and
Zeus killed all
it's
the gods.
It's done through paintings, these sort of Bosch.
Bob Ross?
No.
Gouache?
No, that's Zelda.
Triptych?
Bosch. Hieronymus Bosch. Yeah,
you were right. Yeah, Hieronymus.
Yeah, way to go, me and my art history.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's these Bosch-esque paintings of all the...
Did they draw a lot of Greek gods?
Yeah, but the most famous triptych is this portraiture of hell where people's guts are being ripped out, and one guy has a trumpet up his ass. And anyway, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
we'll look at it sometime. We got to visit Ian because he has this huge framed thing of it. Yeah. Anyway, but all these basically kind of religious-esque Greek paintings of battles.
Yeah.
To show us the story.
Oh, okay, yeah, and that's what they're showing with the gods and all that. So they say that Ares has been killed, and that Zeus gave them this sword, the God Killer, to get rid of him,
among other weapons.
In case he comes back. Well, yeah, there's the tiara, and there's the shield, and there's her gauntlets, of course, in the sword. But did you know that the sword wasn't going to be a thing? Did you know that any time through?
I did.
Because I knew she was going to kill the guy, but I knew nothing was going to happen. But I didn't know what was going to happen after that. I didn't know that and I kind of loved, I know it's sort of like that last boss thing with some people, kind of a boss fight at the end there with her and Ares, but I didn't care. I thought it was really cool.
I didn't care either.
And he put his fucking suit on, you saw the Ares from the comic.
I thought it was pretty cool that he used his outfit on. The detritus.
Yeah.
The chaos of that battlefield to make his armor.
Yeah, he uses
that was really cool.
Yeah, he uses he basically uses tanks and stuff. Uses
broken
things
bits
of war
all the metal and melds them
Yeah.
to make his suit right there, which is pretty cool.
Even though that kind of caught me off guard. I didn't think it was him.
Yeah,
I didn't know. At that point, I didn't know what was going on. After she killed the guy and nothing happened.
Right.
That's kind of in the same boat as you, where I was well, maybe she's just going to have to live with that Ares isn't there, and maybe that'll be her through line to the next movie.
Oh, but I knew that the sword wasn't the God Killer.
Yeah.
I knew that immediately.
You knew she was the God Killer?
I knew that when they showed her the sword,
Yeah.
that it was not that.
Yeah.
I knew that it was her.
Yeah. Didn't you find it weird that she got that sword into that party so easily? I did find that kind of weird.
Well, it was part of her dress.
Yeah, it was just, she just puts it on the back, but you can see that she has a sword. And she just walks in, and she dances with the one dude, and he's like...
Sherman Irvin, you're not looking for a sword.
Yeah.
I mean, I bet it was...
yeah.
She's kind of... you might be looking at other parts of her.
I mean, she did walk around the... she went to that, like, clothing place with her sword, and nobody thought anything of it. Like, with her sword and shield.
It was pretty funny.
So, and she tried to go through the whirly-do, whatever.
The door.
The
revolving door.
Revolving door, yeah. With the sword, and nobody was like, oh, she has a sword. Just kind of like, whatever.
Yeah.
Even though Steve Trevor was like, no, put it away.
And then she gives it to the girl from the office.
Yeah.
The British office.
Oh, the one from Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was I felt like it had a great tone, like compared to most DC stuff. It's not like super grim and dark, and there's like a lightness to it, and was comedy. It actually had some comedy in there. It was funny. It wasn't just all like everything
the
was angry,
writing was just 50 times better.
Yeah, well, it isn't like everything was all upset, and it wasn't like completely confused as to what it wants to be, like BBS, or like
I don't know how they pulled
a whole lot of bad
if
jokes.
If you compare it to the other, if you compare it to like Suicide Squad, and
well, that was
BBS,
the last one that came out before this was Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I mean it's
which won an Oscar, by the way.
You just can't for makeup, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
but
I mean,
it's Oscar-winning Suicide Squad.
Shh, don't say that.
Yeah.
You just don't even think they're in the same world.
Yeah.
They're so different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hope they learned something, from how, like, bad
Well, they
BVS
obviously
tanked.
learned that they needed to trust some other writers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Zack Snyder's, like, still on the writing for it. But I saw Jeff Johns on there. Jeff Johns is, like, the big
Well, I did see
DC
that it was
guy.
written by 3 men.
Yeah.
And that kind of, they did a good job of writing it. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Those 3 men are obviously...
Well, Jeff Johns is like a major...
Like some woke motherfuckers.
Jeff Johns is a major part of DC. Like, he's the guy who wrote, like, Flashback. He's the guy who wrote Flashback Paradox and all that. Flashpoint Paradox.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wrote the Flash thing, where he goes back in time to save his mom and all that.
Flashpoint.
Yeah, Flashpoint. Yeah, Jeff Johns wrote all that, and he kind of reworked the whole DC universe with that story, where they did it to where, like, everything changed, and then everything changed again.
Right.
It changed back, but it was different.
Yeah.
He started all that. So Jeff Johns is kind of like the main DC guy right now.
Sure.
And, like, bringing him on and mixing him in with Zack Snyder and all that, I think was part of what made it really good.
Yeah.
Because he's a great writer. Like, don't get me wrong.
Obviously.
He's done a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that might have helped. I know that Joss Whedon is now doing he's finishing Justice League for Zack Snyder, because Zack Snyder's family, a lot of horrible shit going on there. Yeah. Our hearts go out to them and their family.
For sure.
His daughter committed suicide, like 20. Rough stuff. But yeah, a lot of shit going on there. But I hope that he's at least enjoying that everything came together so well with this movie, with the Wonder Woman movie. I
really thought, while I was watching it, I can't wait to own this movie. It's going to play in our house nonstop. I'm going to be watching this movie
all the time,
constantly for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Anytime I feel
until Wonder Woman 2,
sad or defeated or lonely or unimportant or small, I can watch, pretty much any 5 minutes of this movie.
Yeah.
And feel equal again.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
It really is so amazing.
Yeah.
It's really cool to be like a 35-year-old human and to feel something you didn't know you had never felt.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that it worked. I'm glad that it worked for you. I'm glad that I enjoyed it. I mean, I'm not that important on it, but I thought it was good.
Yeah. It was remarkable. Yeah. Really.
I mean, like I said, I can't really speak to it because it's not ever going to mean as much to me as it does to you.
Yeah.
But I still thought it was a great flick. And,
I think aside from it being
I'd like to see
life-changing for so many women, it is just a good movie.
I'd like to see a Wonder Woman Part 2, though.
I'd like to see 50 or 70 of these movies.
So let me ask you this. If they made a second Wonder Woman,
yeah, what
would you like them to do with it? Like, would you like it to be like another like altered history thing, like with like World War II, or like can we do it like in the in like present time with like Cheetah and like some of the other Wonder Woman villains?
I'd like some more, in the kind of, maybe not even World War II, maybe an in-between World War I and World War II.
Yeah.
Where she does, small goods. Mm-hmm. Where she, helps her neighbors and her immediate community.
Yeah.
I don't know in what kind of way, but maybe, she volunteers at the soup kitchen and finds out there's a, drug smuggling ring and bring, she does something for like in a smaller, more like.
So you want it to be more like Luke Cage, like that, or like Daredevil, like the stuff that's more like street level.
Yeah,
but she's a god. You don't want her to be fighting like big.
Don't you
big
want God
things?
to be involved in your life?
I mean, I don't know, but I mean, it just seems like she's bigger than that, though.
I think she's all things.
Yeah.
So that's why I want that.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like a.
I want little things, and then we can do World War II, and we can do Korea and Vietnam.
But if you're doing a movie, like they want like, big budget, big fights.
Well, you
and all
asked me
that,
what I wanted.
Yeah, no, I'm just
and I told you what I wanted.
What you'd like to see, and you'd like to see Wonder Woman, the Netflix show.
Yeah, I fucking would. Yeah, I'd like to see Wonder Woman impact the lives of real people in her community.
Yeah,
the movie, because as a woman, that's what I think we women need to be doing.
Yeah.
So that's what. Yeah.
You don't want to see her like fight present day like
sexism
because it's everywhere. I mean, they could make it like very much like.
But she can fight
about now.
Yeah, she could. Yeah, of course they could. But she can fight present day sexism by setting the story in like 1932.
Yeah. But I'd like to. I don't know. I'd like to see some present day stuff.
She can. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You asked me what I wanted. That's what I wanted.
Sure.
Because I want like really 50 of these movies. Yeah. So let's take it slow.
Yeah. Well, what do you expect though them to do?
I mean, maybe 3. What do I expect them to do?
Fight Cheetah in the present.
I don't know. If they do the present, then where are they going to go from the present? Then they can only stay in the present.
Well, I mean, they did it. They did it with Captain America, where they led us, Winter Soldier and all that was. I
mean, I guess where we have to go is wherever they are in BVS.
Well, that's where we're going to go for Justice League. That'll be the next thing that comes out this year, which she'll be in that one, but she's part of a team. It's not her story. But I'm sure she'll still do some kick-ass stuff.
Then maybe we'll get to right where she was. Maybe we'll get to, like, where we are at the end of this movie is her, like, jumping off to save whoever.
I figured this was just like her just going out to fight crime or
regular crime,
destroy more gods, or I don't know, something like that.
So I don't know what they're gonna do, but I'd like my simple community level activism.
Yeah, you want to? It's like Luke Cage. It's like the Luke Cage show.
Fuck yeah!
It was all about the community.
Well, because that's about what we can do.
Yeah,
and we need to feel like we can do something, like we are doing something.
Yeah,
and we need to see how other people can and are doing something.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, we're not going to unelect fucking Trump right now.
Yeah.
So how do we fight within our own lives to make things better? Mm-hmm. How do we fight for marginalized people?
Yeah.
Women included.
Yeah. But I like to see that in an over-the-top fashion. And nowadays.
Yeah.
Because that's how movies work, and that's basically how they would do that. For all the money they put in this and all the money they made off of it. I mean, it's already made like $200 million, I believe. I'd like to see it do some, like old sci-fi movies, just do take things on that's going on right now. That's what I'd like to see in a new one. And I'd like to see him fight Cheetah, just because she's cool. But is there anything else you wanted to say about the movie, about Wonder Woman? I mean, I feel like you said a lot, but you can always say more. I don't know. I mean, you've said more about it than I ever could for its impact and its power, for sure.
I mean, if you have a girl in your life, a woman in your life, a female associating gender person in your life, or anybody, any young person, I'm so thrilled that they can grow up watching this.
Yeah.
That you can sit your 10-year-old daughter down and say, here you go. Here's a movie just for you.
Yeah.
It's a movie that shows you that you can do anything.
Yeah.
And also to all the male-leaning parts, I just think it's a great movie to show us what equality actually is.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to watch it again.
Well, I'd really like to see... Well, this was... DC's been behind on a lot of things, but they were the first ones to get a full-on female superhero movie. But I'd also like to really see how Marvel plays up after this. I want to see how they respond to it.
Well, you're right, honey. You're super right about that.
Well, because they have Captain Marvel in the works. That's a female-led movie, and I still think they should.
Her name is Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Oh.
She's a female Captain Marvel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. No, they're working on that movie, and it's female.
Right.
But yeah. There's that. There's the Captain Marvel movie. There's I really think there should be a Black Widow movie. I'm surprised they haven't done that yet.
Yeah, it is surprising.
I mean, Scarlett Johansson brings a lot of people in. I mean,
her milkshake brings all the boys to the yard.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that she can sell seats. I mean, Lucy was like probably one of the most ridiculous movies I've ever seen. But a lot of people went to see it, like, and paid money for that. Even though that was a weird ass fucking movie. But they did it because she was on the front on it. She has star power. Is what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
She can put butts in seats.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I'm really interested to see what they do after that. What Marvel does, because the DC beat them to the punch and they did it really well.
They did it so well.
Yeah.
It was so much more beautiful and impactful than I ever thought it could be.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
I didn't know I didn't have those feelings before.
Yeah, and now you do. So there you go. We'll see it again. You should go see it again. It's a great movie. Give them all the money. I mean, they've already made like $200 million, but I'm sure they made more by now. Like the theater we were in was completely crowded. It was completely full.
On a Wednesday night?
Monday
night?
On
a Monday night, even. Yeah. School's still in session.
Well, Tuesday was going to be packed the next day. So, and this was like, we went to see it at like 10 o'clock at night on a Monday.
Yeah.
And it was
full.
Yeah. So everybody is going to see it. And there's a guy next to me that was like, oh my God, like every time she, because there were a lot of crazy moments where she like jumped into buildings and destroyed people and lifted tanks and all that. We haven't really talked a lot about what happened, but that's fine. We talked about the feeling of the movie, and that's what happened. That's all you really need. But yeah, it was a great movie. Everybody, I haven't heard anything bad about it from people. So it's got a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes and all that stuff. So it's a great movie. Anyway, this has been our Wonder Woman episode. I'm your host. We're your hosts. I'm Trey Johnson.
I'm Jess Kenyon.
And you can send us an email at thehoneydarlingshow@gmail.com and tell us how what Wonder Woman did for you and how much you liked it. Share your experience. We'd love to hear.
Or you can hit us up at facebook.com/thehoneydarlingshow.
Or you can message us. Yeah, you can message us through Facebook also, and leave a review about the show, and we'll enjoy it very much if you leave us a review.
We'd really love to hear from you about this one. Yeah.
So anyway, we'll see you next time for whatever else we spoil next time.
I always want to say adios at the end of these.
Adios.
Adios.
This week, live from the Mascara, Wonder Woman.